Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Rising. Today, we have a powerhouse in health, motivation, and wellness. Registered dietitian, motivation and wellness expert, Ilana Muhlstein. She's also a mom of three and has a wealth of wisdom to share with us today. So I am excited to have her on. Enjoy. Thank you, Ilana. I am honored because I've been following your content for years. And currently, right now, I'm going through my own struggles with health and weight and managing that. And so that's why I wanted to have you on, because I really wanted you to share your experience and your wisdom with our listeners. And you've helped so many transform their relationship with food and including your own. And what was the pivotal moment for you that changed everything?
Yeah, well, as a kid, I came from a really big foodie family, lots of fried food, lots of takeout, lots of sugary food. And my parents got divorced when I was about 4 years old. And at that point, food was the obvious source of comfort for that time. And it was just a lot of time on my own, watching TV, just really just emotional eating before I was consciously doing so. And I remember all my doctor appointments as a kid, all my checkups were her weight is a big issue. The whole conversation was about weight, you know? And at 8 years old, after 4 years of this, my doctor was sick and tired of harping about it and nothing changing. So she said, "You know what? Enough's enough. You have to send her to weight loss camp." So at 8 years old, I went for 9 weeks to a fat camp in upstate New York. It's no longer around. I lost 30 pounds in the summer, and then I just gained all my weight and more back. So every summer, I would just return to weight loss camp, nutrition sessions, portion control meals, working out 16 hours a day. I'd lose all this weight, and then I'd go right back to my same stool in the kitchen in front of the television, eating jars of peanut butter. And I did this yo yo dieting pattern for so many years until I had that like enough's enough moment where I looked at it as my rock bottom, and I just came to terms with the fact that, like, I'm just making excuses, I'm blaming it all on everyone else. I have to take this into my own hands. Even though I was only 13, I realized, like, I'm competent enough that I can control my destiny here, and that's when I really started implementing things I would learn in camp into my school year. So at the very least, I would stop gaining it back and I would start losing weight on my own. And that was really my pivotal moment that launched my 100-pound weight loss journey and whole career in the field.
Which is incredible. And when did you start basically, unlearning like some of the things that you were taught? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, really, honestly, the first thing I did is I realized, okay, that summer going into high school, I was like, I do not want to go back to weight loss camp. At that point, I actually had enough lying to my friends about what I was doing in the summer, and I wanted to be with them, and I wanted to do normal things. And so I really told myself, like, at the very least, just don't gain the weight back. And I noticed that every summer I'd go back to camp and I'd hop on the scale and it'd be like, "Whoa, I can't believe I gained 50 pounds." And it was this big shocker. And I realized at the very least, stop avoiding the scale. Just use the scale during the school year so it doesn't have to be this big shock when you go on the first time in 10 months. So that was the first thing I did is I had to train myself to just use the scale more often, to not be scared of it, to go on it a few times a week, or if not every morning, and realize like what's working. And that helped me unlearn a lot because at that point we were doing the food guide pyramid, right? And it was like 8 to 11 slices of bread a day. And that's truly what they were probably even doing at weight loss camp is, I mean, probably not as much, but like they were probably giving us 2 servings of carbs at breakfast, lunch, and dinner because we were working out 16 hours a day. But then I quickly realized I had to unlearn that too. Like, if I was practicing that on my own and not exercising that much, like I was, gaining weight. So even like portion control, I went to dietitians. They always showed me like the palm of my hand and the little golf ball and all those little portion control techniques. And I had to unlearn that because I realized anytime I ate lots and lots of cauliflower or broccoli with cheese on it, like I was actually fine. I would lose weight. So I started unlearning things on like a daily basis from that point on.
It's so interesting because I feel like you're a pioneer in like volume eating. Like,
I do like to eat.
how did you learn that concept, volume eating, because that's what I've learned from you, that it's
Yeah,
okay to do that, and I feel really full, and then I
yeah,
don't
with the
end up
right foods.
right, and but it's interesting because it is satisfying, but people don't think about it that way. So
Mhm.
how did you learn that concept of volume eating and develop
Yeah,
it?
well, I just realized that at weight loss camp, the only one thing that you can go back for seconds of, because everything was pre-portioned, was salad. The only thing. And I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Like, none of the kids were getting up to get more salad. Like, if you allowed them to get more pizza, they would have, but they didn't even bother. And I realized I would always go out for more salad. The second I learned that you could do that, I did it every single meal without thinking. Like, even if I was full, even if I was done, if I could get more, I would. And I realized that every time I did get more salad or whatever, I lost just the same amount that summer than I did before. So that was another thing that I just decided to bring into my school year of like, you can go unlimited with this stuff. And I would try it and I'd see that, like, okay, the popcorn has to be in a 100-calorie bag. But if I can take all this broccoli and add a little butter, a little salt, a little garlic powder, like I was okay, or a big volumes of salad as long as it wasn't too much, you know, drippy dressings or avocado or Parmesan crisps or croutons. Like I could go on volume when it came to the salad, even with sometimes some of those little things I call accessories to get them tasting more delicious. So I really learned it through trial and error. And I see it with my clients almost every day. Like I have a new client I saw for the first time yesterday, and she's a really healthy, conscious eater. And in my private practice, I see a lot of women, and it's just their last 5, 10, 15 pounds. And then I, of course, see people who have to lose 200 pounds and everything in between. But in this case, this woman really is a very, very, very healthy eater, to some degree, probably healthier than I am. She's so meticulous with things, and she doesn't have kids. So she's not, having bites of random stuff like I can sometimes. And so for her, she gets hungry in the afternoon at work. She works really late hours, and her afternoon sex, like she has a string cheese, and then she has a handful of nuts, and then sometimes she has a second string cheese, and then sometimes she has like a square of dark chocolate. And I'm like, you're eating healthy, but if you don't realize that, like, you end up eating like 400 to 500 calories of snacks. And yes, they might be high protein. And yes, they might be healthy fats, and they might be low sugar and low in carb, but it's still like clearly not satisfying you because you keep going back for another thing every hour. Like I want you to just bring in like a big thing of roasted green beans to have at like that 4 o'clock time if you're not going to be getting to dinner till later. Like have 2 cups of baby carrots and some hummus. Like lean into volume, because what's amazing is when you do and you have 2 cups of baby carrots and a tablespoon of hummus, it's actually half the calories of what she was having before, and it's so much more filling.
Definitely, and I think I'm in her camp. I'm a snacker, and I've realized I've gained the weight because I think I've been snacking on these little things instead of
Yeah,
doing
the
what you're
little
saying.
things
They add
can
up.
add up.
They add
Even
up.
when a client tells me, like, I had a small slice of cake. Well, I have food models here, like these like rubber like food demonstrations of serving sizes. And the size of cake in my food model is literally like this tiny
Mm.
2 inch by 2 inch square. Now birthday cakes are 6 inches tall, and they're like there's frosting in each layer and this whole thing. So even like a small sliver of cake is still 270, 300 calories. That's
100%.
after a meal. That's adding that onto a
Mhm.
meal. So even like a small sliver of cake, yeah, that's less than like a 700-calorie cake, but
Mhm.
it's still cake, right? And so there's nothing wrong with having cake once in a while. I just think we live in a society right now that is so destined for obesity
Mm.
that you could be eating differently than everyone else and still gaining weight, because in order to really lose weight in this society, we have to be going for the strawberries. Like, not it's gotta be like the bite of cake, not the thin slice of cake, because everything is just so dense. And so that's why I really love the high volume foods, the strawberries, the watermelon, the
Mhm.
broccoli, the salads, because you don't have to think small. You could think as much as you need to get full and satisfied, and you don't have to apologize for it or feel bad for it or any of that guilt that can sometimes come with those more dense foods. And you shouldn't eat anything with guilt, but like if you're frustrated and not losing weight, then it's you're eating and you're kind of frustrated. It's not as delicious feeling.
It is frustrating, and, part of this too is also what you talk about is the mindset shift. You know, this has to work concurrently with the plan. right? And how you set, like, your mind and also your feelings around yourself.
Totally. That's why I'm, really obsessed with my new app, the Daily Entra. It's amazing. I just launched it 3 months ago, but we have hundreds of people in it, and it's clicking like nothing's ever clicked for people before because I've realized after working with clients for, like, 14 years now and having my books and having my program, the follow through is the hardest thing. It's the
Mhm.
consistency. And the one thing people have been telling me that they need is they need me in their head every single day. So people say, "I do best when I listen to your audiobook." And I've re-listened to it 6 or 7 times now, but, like, now what? And so my daily mantra, it's every single day you have a tool, a tip in your head first thing in the morning, so you can't ignore it. And Entra stands for on track, but also optimize nutrition thoughts, results, and actions because,
Mhm.
like, this past Tuesday, I had a little blurb that everyone saw first thing in the morning that's like, "Free food, you always pay for it later." So you like, I just went to an appointment, there's a big bowl of shiny, pretty gold sucking candies, and that line I had that line in my head, like, "Free food, always pay for later." The free food is never the veggies. The free food is always the candies, the bread on the table, the little fried apps that you get passed around to like a cocktail party. You always pay for it later, and having that mindset in your mind, it's so helpful when you can keep that on a daily basis.
Well, you said it like your Ilana-isms, is that what you call it?
Mhm.
Because you've been in my head for like 2 weeks when we were talking about previously, finishing your kids' food and how I was
Yeah.
guilty of that,
Better in
and
the waste than on your waste.
right, and I kept thinking about what you said, and I said, "Don't do it, Janelle." And it was like I needed you in my head to stop me, but it actually helped, and I said, "No, what would she tell you? She would don't do it." But I needed that kind of slap on the wrist or like that noise because if I don't have it, then I'm like, "Oh, it's okay." And I feel like that is such a great tool, and we'll link it as well so people can sign up for this because we need your Ilana-isms in our
And
daily
I
life.
really think people need them, Jen. I create them because I need them. I need them. I need them, like, constantly. I need to remind myself it's better in the waste than on my waist. It's better in the trash than in my body. Like, I really I wish I had it naturally. My son I have one son, he can leave one bite left of an Oreo. He's the most mindful eater. I don't know where he comes from. I truly think about it all the time. Don't know where he comes from, but he's such a mindful eater in that way. And it just comes naturally to him, but it definitely does not come naturally to me. So these things help override what you previously thought, which is essential.
And I've had to let go of that guilt because my son made donuts this week with our sitter, and I was like there was an excess of them, and I threw them away. I mean, I
Throw
tried
them
to give
out.
away as many as I could in cookies, but
Throw
at the
them
end of the
out.
day,
Let go of the guilt.
I had to let go, and I said my husband took a bite, then I took a little bite, and I was like, I'm done because if not."
That could easily be 5 pounds if you
Oh,
didn't throw that out.
definitely. And also this guilt around, like, leaving food on your plate. We grew up, most of us, being told to finish everything on our plate, but no one accounted for the fact that our portions here in America
Yeah.
are, like, double, triple the size. So I've been teaching my 14-year-old and my 9-year-old, like, "Hey, like, eat 80%, like, or till you're 80% full." And they've been struggling with this concept. And it's been like, "Well, we don't get it, mom. We should just finish. The restaurant gave us this." And I said, "No, actually, I'm going to have to start telling you. If you can't stop yourself, I'm gonna have to kinda put the pause and go,
Yeah.
'This is
They've done a
good.'"
really interesting by the way, that's great parenting that you're teaching your kids this now. There's a really interesting study they did years ago where they had people, like, order burger and fries from a fast food restaurant, and they had them right away there was a garbage can next to the checkout, next to, like, where they purchase, and they said, "Take a handful of fries and put it in the garbage can right away." Then they had them go eat their burger and fries. Afterwards, they asked them, like, "How do you feel? Feel satisfied? Feel fine?" Couple minutes later, it said, "Do you remember that you, like, threw out those fries in the beginning?" And most of them don't even remember, didn't even register, forgot that, like, there's a whole extra handful of fries afterwards. But then they did it, like, just take the burger and fries, but now leave a handful on the plate.
Mm,
And much harder for these people to, like, avoid them, to not be tempted by them. Then afterwards, then when they were called, they felt like they would have been more satisfied had they finished all the fries.
mhm.
So it just goes to show you that, like, our portions really manipulate our actions,
Mhm.
and if it's there, we wanna eat it. If it's not there, we tend to forget about it. So, with your kids, like, I'll do this for myself too, like, in that situation where you go to a birthday party and you ask for a
Mhm.
sliver of cake and the person is like, "Oh, no, it's such a big cake, just take a bigger piece, you don't have to eat it." Well, I know if you give me that bigger piece, I will eat it. So, I will,
Right.
like, already, "Thank you so much for this piece." I will still already, like, take half, throw it onto another plate, hand it off to someone else because I don't want that other half on there because I will probably eat it. So
Mhm.
I just think that people tend to instead, right? What would they do instead? Oh, this person just gave me a bigger piece. Oh, I'm just going to eat it. Now I'm feeling guilty. And I think a lot of people, they throw themselves under the bus. They feel like, well, I should have more self control. So, like, I'm not going to make myself crazy. Oh, no, I ate it all. Oh, now I'm guilty. It's like, why get yourself into that big mess? Just own it. Know yourself. Know that you're going to eat the whole thing if it's there and take the action to prevent it.
Mhm.
So, the same thing with like sometimes with putting the food away at night. Like I know if I put it away, I'm gonna nibble at it. My husband's better at that. So I'll be like, I need you to put that away. Like I can make the dinner, I need you to put it away. So I think like people really need to own their strengths and weaknesses and be okay changing. I always tell my kids, like if they have
Mhm.
if they're given a lot of candy or cake, I'll just like a quick little whisper of like, you don't need to finish it. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying, leave 2 bites left or whatever. It's just like just important that the next generation understands you don't need to finish things. So if they want to, they can, but like it has to get ingrained. It's totally okay to throw out half plates of food, to save it for the next day, to whatever because we're actually living in a society now very different than when we were growing up, where we actually have more people in the world who are obese, who are overweight than who are underweight. For like the
Mhm.
first time in actual history, in man history, we have a bigger so this whole idea of like, but they're starving kids. Like,
Mhm.
sadly, especially within America, you have a much bigger issue of childhood obesity where kids are eating in
Mhm.
excess of calories that are not nourishing. And it's much less of an issue that, kids are starving
Definitely.
from a lack of calories. Yeah.
How do you think that your approach differs from other traditional, dieting or nutrition plans?
Yeah, I think a lot of dieting and nutrition plans come from people who are naturally thin, and that's
Mhm.
really annoying. And I just had that today, and I mean no shade to this person, and I won't even mention their name,
Mhm.
but I was on a call and people were saying like, "What about this guy who's very, very fit, probably has like 10% body fat percentage, who goes through grocery stores and, rates things as clean or toxic or not toxic."
Mhm.
And there's several of these accounts and people now. And like, I agree wholeheartedly that we should be eating whole ingredients. I agree
Mhm.
wholeheartedly that we do not need to have food with additives. Food with additives tend to lead to overconsumption and yada yada. So like I'm totally on board with having cleaner, healthier products. However, there is a big difference between healthy and healthy for weight loss. And sometimes there are some products that might not be labeled 100% clean, but they can help with your weight loss, and helping with your weight loss overall can help you potentially lower inflammation and get healthier in other ways. So, like, there have to be exceptions. And, like, someone who's naturally thin, they
Mhm.
might not be as sensitive to certain it's just hard. Like, it's very easy to get blanket advice from people who are naturally fit.
Right, and that's frustrating for people like myself right now, with a little bit of excess weight, trying to lose it, and that's why I think originally when I found you years ago, I was so inspired by you because I was basically like, "She lost 100 pounds," like, and you wouldn't think by looking at you. I mean, you were like, "Wow," like, 'cause I thought, "She's has to be naturally thin. She looks
Oh, I
amazing."
know. I think that's always funny, even with my private clients, like, who've lost, like, 20 pounds, and they tell me it's like, people literally assume I'm one of those people now, and I know for a fact they're not, you know? But no, I have to work every single day to this, like, reminding myself to drink water, reminding myself to eat more veggies, reminding myself that, like, I don't it's fine, though. You spend 10 to 15 minutes thinking preventative, and you don't have to focus on all the insecurities and the hardships that come with being overweight. So, I you know, it's a gift. I think, like, focusing on your health is a very productive thing to think about. There's so many other things people will think about if they're not thinking about what they could do to eat healthier.
So if someone right now is feeling overwhelmed by what's out there right now for weight loss, where do you suggest they start? Because, a lot of us, we don't know if we should turn to the medication. first. We don't know if we should, do an
I
inventory
highly
first
recommend
of,
really
what we're
trying
doing.
to yeah, no, because I know the medication thing, I was just on another podcast and it was like literally spoke about GLP-1s for an hour. I'm not against them. I'm just really against going on them blindly
Mhm.
without a solid nutrition plan. So I highly recommend if you are going to go on the GLP-1s, highly recommend getting the daily Entra, my daily accountability and nutrition tip and tool recipes, everything plan. Get the community, get the support, get the ongoing motivation. So this way you could be a lot less dependent on the medications because the that's the I think the big problem here is that if you use it as a tool to help you optimize your weight loss, it could be used as a tool. But if you're gonna do it and have like a brownie a day and feel
Mhm.
sick all the time, I really don't see it as helpful. If it's gonna
I
minimize your
agree.
appetite slightly
Right.
so you can have a little less cravings and you can open I have some friends who are doing this very well. I have friends, I have clients who are taking the medicine and they're doing it very
Mhm.
well. They're on a low enough dose that they do not have horrible side effects. They're actually more inspired now to eat healthy, to stick with the plan, to write down their food, to have protein at every meal, to exercise. So you can do it really well and they look good. Then there are people who go on the medication, they're on a high enough dose that they're really never hungry.
Mhm.
And so when they do want to eat, they eat something that's comforting to them, like
Mhm.
a brownie or whatever that looks good when you have no appetite. And I feel like that's where Ozempic face settles in. That's where you
Right.
really like just lose muscle, you look wasted, and like you are deciding now 1 year into the medication that you're never going
Mhm.
to go off. So
Right.
that's a tricky place to be.
I just feel because the theme of this season of the podcast is freedom. And I want to be free of diet culture and free of like depending on medications or depending on, these things. I agree with you. I think it could be used as a supplemental tool. But ultimately, I want to free myself of some of these myths and beliefs and I want to have a healthy relationship with food. And I'm just so tired of feeling bad or, not, like you said, being armed with these really good motivational mindset hacks. Like I feel like that's definitely been helping me lately. And accountability, huge. And you know, I just want to free myself of ever having to feel a prisoner to I have to do this way to lose weight. So it's like, how do you get people to really feel like they have more power over their
I think
health?
a really key piece that no one ever wants to do, but it's very important, I have it here, is I really recommend everyone write down their food.
Mm,
It's one of the freest, most accessible, most proven tools to help not only with weight loss, but also mindfulness and mental health as well. It's a few minutes a day that quiets so much of that food noise
mm,
because I shared as an example today on a live call, like I wrote today in my thing, I had 5 pancakes for breakfast. So I make these, like, banana egg pancakes,
mhm,
they're kinda thin, but they had a little oat in them, but I wrote 5 pancakes, 3 words that are very critical, "Prob too many." Right, and this is like a personal
mm,
journal that I don't share often, but, like, those 3 words of me writing probably too many at
mm,
7:45 in the morning or whatever it is, before my meetings, before taking my kids to camp, before all these things, that's the way of getting that thought out of my mind onto paper so it doesn't just get buried and then lead to feeling bad and then lead to no action and then lead to just continued behaviors like that throughout the day. But I actually wrote like probably too many. And then later on, I wrote, okay, reminder, you have a dinner tonight. So, like, this is what you want to be eating for lunch based on the fact that that was your breakfast and you're going out to dinner. So it puts you into a much more proactive mindset of what you want to do to move forward, versus just feeling bad and then being like, "Oh, well, I blew it already at breakfast." Like,
mhm,
now they're like the whole team is ordering in pizza. Like, ugh, I'm just gonna guess I'm gonna do that. Being in this like very passive state with it. So I find if you want to really be empowered and silence the noise that might be in your head, but also in the outside culture of everyone telling you it's this macro, it's that thing, then you really should really focus like on the daily entre tools that I'm always gonna recommend, like, writing down your food every day, and there's different ways of doing it, and you could do calories and this and that, but it really is just, honestly, just writing down what it is you ate, and the second you get on paper, you gain back the control of the thoughts.
Mm, I love that. So if today someone wanted to get started, what are the 3 things that you think that they should do besides sign up for the daily entre? I feel like that's like
Yeah.
a huge thing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. The results we're getting are so remarkable, and I just love hearing the testimonials and people saying how helpful it's been. I definitely think, if you're aside from getting, the right tools, support system and community like that we have in the Daily Andra, definitely get a water bottle if you don't have one.
Mm,
Find a good one that you like,
okay, that's a good
and
tip. I am
yeah,
terrible with this.
you can't be. You can't
Yeah.
be. It's just, like, honestly not allowed. It's
Okay.
the water first. Like, the second you start drinking minimum of half your weight in water, so let's like, if you weigh 180, that's 90 ounces, it's about
Mm,
3 liters a day. Take your weight, divide it in half. The second you start drinking more water and you start hitting that
mhm.
minimum water goal, immediately hunger will subside, focus will increase, your digestion can increase. I mean, water really is something that we're all craving all day. We just don't hear it, we don't see it, and we confuse it for food. So, drinking more water, there are so many all natural water enhancers now that you can add to your water. As long as it's low calorie, as long as it doesn't have artificial colors or sweeteners, there's like 8 or 10 brands that all like a little electrolytes or just for flavor, whatever. Anything that gets you drinking more water is a good thing. So get a good water bottle, get a routine with the water, set a goal, make it happen. That's critical. I have 4 core pillars within like
Mm.
my to be mindset program within my book. I always say water first, veggies most, learn to like veggies. I'm really good about pushing that on my social media. I feel like I do that on a daily basis, showing people how they can eat more vegetables and liking them and loving them, writing down your food, using the scale with a better mindset. These things are all critical pieces in establishing a healthier relationship with food, in my opinion.
I love your videos. They are
Oh, thanks.
so fun to watch, and they're so easy because you make it look like a person like myself who doesn't know how to cook. You make it look so simple, and I don't
It
get
doesn't have to be
intimidated.
hard. My
Right.
goal is to get people to feel like it's really not hard.
And I love how you take, like, if there's a viral hack going on TikTok, you're like, "I'll do my version." I love that you do that as well, and I know that you are also focusing now as we're back to school on kids' lunches. So that's these are all wonderful things, and you just provide it free on Instagram, like, or TikTok, and I love that.
I
So,
do my
thank you.
best. Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much.
I'm just so thankful that we were able to have this conversation, and I wanna close with just a few quick fire questions as we wrap. So, what's one food you'll always say yes to?
I do love chocolate, so I always say if it's not chocolate, it's not worth it, but I've become much choosier with the chocolate that I choose at this point.
What's one of your favorites?
Well, I think that dairy and butter makes food taste better, and so I often go places that there's, like, dairy-free chocolate chip
Oh,
cookies and things
wow.
like that, and I know that they can be good, but
Yeah.
I'm at a point now where I'm like, if it's not like the good milk chocolate
Right,
chips, like, it might not satisfy me as much, so it
right.
might not be worth it.
Okay, oh, I love that. Okay, what's one morning routine must-have for you?
Energize. I have the same morning pre-workout every single day for years, years. It's like this scoop of caffeine and quercetin, antioxidants, but it gives me great energy, and I have that every single morning. It's made by Beachbody, and it's
Okay.
fantastic. I recommend it to everyone, and it feels much more hydrating to me than coffee.
Oh, I love that. I'll have to try it. What's the last time you felt truly energized?
Definitely, it's been very exciting launching the daily entree. It feels like it's something my community was thirsty
Yeah,
for, I was thirsty for. So that launched in June, and ever since, like, the last 2 months, I feel like I've been on a total high,
I love
seeing how
that.
many people we've been, like, getting in and how great the success has been thus far. So it's been very exciting.
Well, you always look really energized,
Oh, good.
and, like, yeah, I'm like, "I'll have what she's having." It's great.
Okay, good.
And just in closing, what does, to rise mean for you on a daily basis?
To never settle, to never be complacent, to always be actively challenging yourself. Because if not, then you're not working, you got to challenge yourself. You got to be doing things that feel really hard to know that you're stimulating your brain and working to your greatest potential.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time today. I
Thank
loved our time
you.
together, and I am just so excited to use more of your tools and, get a kick in the butt for my journey ahead.
Yes,
So
you got this. Tough love is my specialty, so I'm happy to give it
I
all to
love
you.
it. You're already in my head, and I needed that. So thank you so much.
Of course.